She is sexy, feisty, bold, a physical embodiment of desire. She can also be strong while being soft on the inside. The Spicy Latina trope has had an evolution in its depictions, but various aspects continue to reign through. Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. This video is titled Spicy Latina Trope Part 1. It is part of a two-part series where the first one is just me analyzing the trope within media, film, all of that jazz. And then the second part is going to be me analyzing the trope within its real-life implications. So this video is part of a series on my channel called Let's Analyze Stuff in Films and Shows. And I try to encapsulate the best analysis I could do, but please take my videos more as conversation starters. With that being said, I would love to read your thoughts down below. Also, please stay tuned till the very end for some announcements. In this video, I will be covering the following topics. I will be addressing aspects of the trope like the lady in red, feistiness, and the Tsundere. I will use examples from films, cartoons, and the music industry. A few disclaimers. I will be covering the topics and issues that mainly pertain to the United States. I'm doing this to keep the information and video more concise. And it is okay if you fall in line within this stereotype. It's fine. The issue is the generalization. Being a spicy Latina means being a lady in red. The trope Spicy Latina falls in line with the trope of the lady in red on various occasions. This trope is something of an old-fashioned trope where the vamp or the female fatale was designated by having her wear bright red formal wear. The lady in red is not necessarily a slut, but she was strongly sexual and often had a strong personality. In more prudish times, the lady in red was considered almost dangerous. An example of this is Carlota Joaquina in Carlota Joaquina Princesa do Brasil. In the film, Carlota becomes a Brazilian princess after settling in the colony. She embodies this role due to her being characterized as a lady in red. She wears a lot of clothing that have this color of red. She is also hot-blooded and a domineering seductress that gets around. This film was a Brazilian period piece. The real Carlota was not praised for her beauty and sex appeal, nor subjected to the male gaze. The real Carlota was considered ugly and had deformities, which shows how they changed her appearance to fit the stereotype. Being a spicy Latina means being loud and feisty, hot-headed, meaning a character that easily gets riled up and excited. An example of this is Lupe Velez, who was in the Mexican Spitfire comedies. She embodies this trope due to how she was presented, marketed, perceived, and how she was expected to perform in these films.
Hello? Where's Newton Police Station? Oh, óigame, hay dos hombres aquí que están locos y yo creo que debe de mandar a alguien inmediatamente, porque si no se apuran van a matar a alguien. And that's the trouble. Come quick. Huh? Oh, my name. Maria Juanita Rosita. Hello, West Newton Police Station. This is the Arlington residence. Please hurry over. That's what I said.
Another example is her nicknames, which were Mexican Spitfire and the Hot Pepper. The character of Gloria in the show Modern Family is another example. There are various moments in the show where she is yelling. Also, she does the stereotypical thing about speaking in Spanish when she is mad.
Eso es lo que me faltaba a mí. Privacy en esta casa. Yeah, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Ay, se me va a romper la media, oye. It goes on and 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 on. Yay, 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 yay.
Gabrielle Solis in The Desperate Housewives is another one. She is the loud, divisive housewife. Gabrielle is introduced as someone who, since her modeling days in New York, has developed a taste for rich foods and rich men. Within the span of a few minutes, Gabrielle is introduced as a character who gets around, who yells, and who gets mad. Her character is over-sexualized and is subjected to the male gaze as a result of her sex appeal.
I sense your problem with me is more personal.
You sense right?
You want to know if I'm interested in sleeping with your wife? Well, the answer is yes.
What this shows is that being a spicy Latina means being subjected to the male gaze. Many characters that fall in line with this trope are shown with guys staring at them, sometimes paired with dialogue or sometimes just through dialogue to establish their beauty, flirtatious behavior, and promiscuity. An example of this is Casey Cordero from The Duff. She is spicy and a tough girl. The movie emphasizes her attractiveness through the use of the male gaze. Paulina from Danny Phantom is another example. She is very stubborn and is described as the most beautiful girl at Casper High. How the lady in red poses a sense of threat, Paulina poses a sense of danger. This is shown through her character being posed as a rival to Sam for the affection of Danny Phantom. For example, the Danny Phantom wiki page states that Paulina is first seen in the episode titled Parental Bonding, with all the boys falling over her. In this episode, Danny Phantom asks her out to the school dance. After she makes fun of him, Sam Manson comes over and insults her. Planning to get revenge on Sam and thinking that she has a crush on Danny, she accepts Danny's offer. In essence, from the get-go, their characters are pitted against each other. This also has to do with women being put against each other in film, but I'll save that for another video. What this shows is that being the spicy Latina means using your looks to your advantage, since Paulina was able to use the attraction Danny had for her against Sam. Over-sexualization in the music industry. In general, the industry hasn't treated women well in that department. There is actually a video I have planned regarding this topic that's going to come out in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. But the point is that from Thalia to Shakira to J-Lo to Becky G to Camila Cabello and more artists, they have all been subjected to over-sexualization. In the music industry, there is an emphasis on how sex sells, and this affects many women and how they are marketed, and hence perceived. The exoticness. An example of this is Jewel in the movie Rio. She is a female Spix macaw and is depicted as the exotic love interest that captures the side of the main lead, Blue. The Rio wiki page states that Blue initially is terrified in Jewel's enclosure, but when he sees Jewel for the first time, he is stunned by how beautiful she is, comparing her to an angel. Another example is Carmen Miranda's song Chica Chica Boom Chick. The music video, among many of her other music videos and films, depicts Carmen in a very stereotypical spicy Latina way. She is characterized as the exotic foreigner and also as a lady in red, dressed in tropical clothing to emphasize her exoticness. She was also depicted as an object of attraction, seen as a danger. Another example is Salma Hayek's character in From Dusk Till Dawn, who is portrayed as a seductress, luring men with her exotic energy. Being Latina means being the side dish / sexy love interest in action films. They are only there to support the main character, they are there to be lusted for and provide a degree of sensuality. There is a big emphasis on curves, in other words, they are sexual objects. An example of this is Zartana in the movie Machete. There is a big emphasis on Zartana's figure throughout the movie. Although her character is strong and is in a position in the criminal justice system, she is still over-sexualized and is put in a submissive position to Machete. Being a spicy Latina means being a Tsundere. A Tsundere is a Japanese term that refers to a character who begins with a harsh, outgoing personality but slowly reveals a soft and vulnerable interior over time. An example of this is Letty Ortiz from the Fast and Furious franchise. She is the childhood sweetheart Dominic Toretto, turned street racer, mechanic, and thief. She is also an expert driver and an expert combatant.
I would want to get the exhaust on that pretty face.
How about you put your money where your mouth is?
Well, how about I race you for that sweet little ass?
You want ass, why don't you hit Hollywood Boulevard?
What do you got? What you got?
See ya!
There is an emphasis on her figure through the use of her tight-fitting clothing. She is depicted as a strong character with a soft interior as the story progresses. An example of this progression is seen through her relationship with Dom. Tough exterior, soft interior, over-sexualized, and great combatant skills. Now, the next portion of this video is the actor's thoughts on this trope. For example, here Sofia Vergara is talking about the stereotype and her thoughts about it. She doesn't see the issue in her playing stereotypical Latinas.
No, don't worry about that at all. I don't know what they mean by a stereotype because my character, I'm not trying to invent anything from it. For example, I read a script, I read a scene, and I think, okay, how would my mom and my aunt play this? And that's how I've created Gloria.
One of the main issues with this trope and with any trope is the idea of being typecasted. While it may not bother everyone, it does bother some people. In this case, Rita Moreno is talking about her experience being typecasted as the stereotypical Latina. She also explains how she had to fake her accent for many roles. Being typecasted is like being put in a box. The issue with that is that it limits you in the roles that you can get.
I was a very passive young woman, and I let everybody in the world tell me what to do. I was only seen in one way and having to speak always with an accent.
Also in this article, America Ferrera explains how when she was 16 years old, she got her first audition and describes herself as a little chubby valley girl who spoke, like a valley girl. She also explained how the casting director said, "That's great, can you do that again, but this time sound more Latina?" According to Ferrera, she asked the casting director whether she wanted her to do the audition in Spanish. The casting director declined. Ferrera tried to explain the contradictions to the directors, telling the casting director, "I am Latina and this is what I sound like." Needless to say, she did not get the part.
It took me most of the car ride home to realize that by sound more Latina, she was asking me to speak in broken English. And I couldn't figure out why the fact that I was an actual, real-life, authentic Latina didn't really seem to matter. These roles were stereotypes and couldn't have been further from my own reality or from the roles I dreamt of playing. I wanted to play people who were complex and multidimensional, people who existed in the center of their own lives.
And I said, nobody's gonna say I'm sexy anymore because I'm pregnant the whole movie. The first thing they said, she was so sexy, and I'm thinking, my God, these people are sick. Like they couldn't see past that.
How are you with the bombshell sexy image now?
I am okay with it because it's okay to be sexy, it's okay to be pretty. It doesn't mean that if you're smart, you have to detach yourself from sexuality. It's part of who a woman is. But I think I've been able, and it's only lately, to show that there are more things to a woman than just that.
There's a lack of diversity. It paints Latinas as being women with olive skin, brown/black hair, an accent, sexy, etc. These stereotypes are not only limiting for the actors who play these roles and are typecasted as such, but for real Latinas who are referred to as not being Latina enough. While there is much more than just a cause and effect when talking about these effects of film/media on the general public, it would be wrong not to address the fact that film/media affect real-life scenarios. There are many people in the world who subconsciously or consciously have built prejudice based on the influences of films and media. So I decided to break this video into two parts. So the first video is this video, and the second video will be more of its real-life implications. I'm going to touch on subjects such as fetishization and pick-me girls. I'll link it up here, hopefully one of these areas, but yeah, I'll link it up here, and yeah. Also, the next video within this series is going to be the Latin lover, which is the guy version of this trope, kind of. Also, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you would like to keep watching content like this. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this content, and stay safe, y'all.